Here we go. Welcome to skills class. Welcome, everybody. I'll just have a
Thank
quick
you.
prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray that this class will help people to start orphanage or school or to be able to get work. We ask that you be with us as we study, and we ask these things in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen. All
Amen.
right. I am going to
Yeah.
share my screen. Skills class. We have about 30, I think it's 31 slides. So, from beginning, can you see my screen okay?
Yes, it's clear.
Great, great, great. So setting up your office. This would be good for someone setting up an office for a business, school, an orphanage, a medical practice, or if you just want to work in an office, this would be great. So first thing is you're going to need either a file box or a file cabinet, and that would be to keep records for each student or customer or clients that you have. They do make file boxes. This is the cheapest way, so you wouldn't have to buy a piece of furniture. And these are about, I think some years ago I paid $16 for this, which isn't really a lot of money when you compare it with buying a piece of furniture. So this box here opens up and holds hanging files. I'll show you what that is in just a moment.
Ongea na
Better
Lidia
yet, a
mwambie ajue.
file
Aya, ngoja
cabinet.
ngojeni.
Hello?
What was that? Oh, I'll ask you to please mute, Diana. Okay, so this
Oh,
one here has a file cabinet on the bottom, and then it has two drawers, which is really nice. I cleared mine out because I'm moving eventually. Yeah, and here is the hanging file. It has a little metal thing that goes through this flap. It will hang on the drawer or the file box. It has one of these on both ends. And you can slide these back and forth. They're really, really great. I love these because they move around easy and you can really kind of search with your fingers through them. And then it has a tab. I'll show you a little more about that later. You label it whatever you need it to be labeled. If you want to, you could just put A, B, C, D, E, F, G, on each one. Or you could put student names, client names. You can also use these for, forms like intake form, physical exam form, contact form, whatever. And if you're doing student forms with this, you're going to want to lock those up for privacy. But if it's like regular forms, you don't have to lock them up. The tabs go in the slots, so you just bend this piece of plastic after you put the paper in and you've written what you want to write. You bend it and it'll fit in here and then in here because it bends easily. Yeah. And then you can also, if you don't have tabs, which sometimes it might be, they sell them with and without tabs, but if you didn't get tabs, you could just take a piece of colored paper, cut it, fold it over, and tape it to the back of the folder. And then you'll have one like this. And you want to alphabetize it so that you can easily find what you're looking for. One for each child, patient, or customer. And here's an example. I don't know if you guys are familiar with alphabetizing. Are you? You ever alphabetize in English? I know it's not your native language, but basically you go by the alphabet. So all the A's go in the front, then the B's, then the C's, then the D's, and then the G's. then, all the way up to Z. And within the A's, you want to alphabetize too. So you're going to have, you got 3 names that begin with A. So you go by the second letter and you alphabetize by the second letter. So Aaron would be first because the second letter is A. Then if you had AB, like Abithar or something, that would go next. AC, I can't think of a name with AC, but I'm sure there is one. AD, then AN, AZ, like that. And then you go to B and you arrange them in this way. Zechariah would be all the way in the back, of course. And you arrange them this way so you could find them real easy, really fast. Okay, so we're going to have in each file folder, we're going to have a cover page. And the cover page can be, if you're lucky enough to get some hard stock, that would be the best because you're going to be referring to it a lot. And cardstock is less likely to get torn, folded, or, crumpled up. Cardstock is just like a thick paper. And like you might have for the cover of a paperback. They do sell it in full pages, A4 size, copy paper size. You can use cardstock or you could use another regular slice of paper. It would be great if you could have it in another color besides white, because you can find it easy and you can recognize it easily as a cover page. So you could do pink, blue, orange, yellow, whatever. So you'll have their name at the top, parents' names, contact information, how to reach mommy and daddy, date of birth, DOB means date of birth, age, grade, where do they live, where are they housed? I know some people were saying in Haiti, they have Restavek children that are housed separate than the parents because the parents can't afford to feed their children. So they basically kind of give them for service to another family that can afford to feed them, and they call that Restavek. So that's why they may not be housed with the parents. Class, teacher, I know Lubian school, I think, has 1 room, but some schools have several rooms. So you want to know which room they're going to be in, who's their teacher, health alerts, do they have allergies or medical conditions that are serious that you need to know, like asthma, diabetes, seizures, the date they entered your school or orphanage, that's always a good one. It helps with identifying them and knowing how long they've been there. And any relevant history, where this child was found, if they were a found child on the street, what street were they found on, what date were they found on. That's for orphans, obviously. Any history that's important, whatever you think, whatever's needed, that's what goes on this page. So I'm just basically using my job as kind of a guide, but because I work in a school. I am a school nurse, and every file has 2 very, very, very important places. You got the beginning, you get the end, and you get the middle. The middle is not as important, but the beginning and the end are the 2 most important spots in your file. And why is that? Because you can find things in the beginning and the end. If it's in the middle, you gotta take out the whole file and go through the whole thing, right? So in the front of the file goes stuff that you want to access easily. Like, let's say it was, for me, it might be an immunization card, cover page, physical exam. I need to access those quickly and be able to find them easily. So I put those in the front. Then you got the back of the file. Sorry, my alarm went off. The back of the file, you're going to add chronological stuff. That's a big word. I know you guys are English as a second language. I'm just going to explain chronological means by date. So it's in time, as time goes on, one thing goes behind the other, behind the other, behind the other. And so the latest, chronologically latest form that to be added to this file will be in the very back. And if you do it that way, you never have to put things in order because they'll be automatically in order by date. Because you always put them in the back. Makes sense? All right. You can develop a certain order you like to keep things within a form, and that'll help you find stuff in the middle. So like I said, the middle could be a mishmash mess of lots of stuff. You might have a very thick file for this child. I know I have some very thick files for my children. They've been to the nurse 10 million times and they have a lot of nurse visit notes. So, for example, in my file, in the front, I have the cover page, then I have an intake form, which is questions I interview the parent when they first come. Then I have the physical exam, then the vaccinations, then the vision form, then any important medical papers like a letter from a doctor saying they need extra water during the day, make them drink every hour, whatever. That would be very important. We would keep that up front, or if they have a skin condition or something like that. Then nurse visit letters sent home. Now you could have dozens and dozens of those. You could have hundreds over the years. And then excuse doctor notes. Johnny is not in school, was not in school on Monday because he was at my office. Very boring letters, but I have to keep those. So I just mix those in with the nurse visit letters. Who really cares? No one's going to look at them pretty much. And then an inbox is a great way to keep the papers that are incoming from parents and whatever, students' book bags. They're going to send you things. They're going to send you all sorts of things, and you need a box. I don't have a picture, but it's just basically a very shallow box about the size of a piece of paper, and it's open on top. And they have all sorts of things like this. You could have one with tiers, like the top box, the middle box, the bottom box, and you could make your inbox the top one because people will know that you label it inbox. And then people will just throw stuff on top of there. And when you get a handy moment, you can take all those papers and file them into your file cabinet or filing box. And then you will be super organized and be able to find just about anything you want. Best to file immediately or almost immediately, because otherwise, if you let it sit a month, people are going to be asking you for things and you'll say, oh, yeah, I think I have that. You may have a constant influx of papers coming in. All right, we said this. Okay, so you may want to leave it on your desk at the rear corner of your desk. And at the convenient time, you file everything in the whole box. That's for the secretary, right? And then I have also a separate book. I need this. You may or may not need it, but I have a separate book for alerts. And I'll just tell you how to set up a book in case you ever need one. This is called the 3-ring binder. And there's a little tab here. This, you could see. There's a little tab here to open it. You pull this down. Sometimes there's a tab that's like it on the top. You have to pull the top one up and the bottom one down. and then it will open for you. Some of them don't have a tab at all, and you open them by just pulling on the left and right of the ring, middle ring.
Yeah.
And that works too. And then to close it, you just push it closed, right? You got this great pocket here. I love having this pocket because I can keep extra forms there that I use a lot. And then this picture is really great because you could see how the tabs line up. You can buy these they call them divider tabs. And when you buy them, they're in order. So you got one up here, then you got one next to it, and one next to it, and they're all nice and colorful and everything. Well, when you get to the bottom, it starts again at the top, then another one, and that next to that, next to that, next to that, next to that, and then it starts at the top again. And this way you could see all the tabs at once, pretty much, which is pretty awesome. Now, if you reuse these 10 million times like I do over the years, they get all mixed up, but don't worry about it, but try to keep them next to each other, because if you put a tab like this directly in front of a similar tab at the very same orientation at the top, you won't be able to see the one behind it, right? So it's good to put one that's like in the middle, at the bottom, or whatever, behind it, not one directly behind it, because you won't see it very easily and you might miss it. And that's enough about that. So this book I use for medical alerts and forms on file, one tab for each child, and I only have medical forms on, let's say, 12 kids out of the 70 in my school. So for those 12 kids, I have 12 tabs and 12 medication forms on file. So you don't have to do it for every kid, but you may want to do it for some kids if you have special forms you need to access. And if you buy divider sets, as I just described, those tabs, colorful tabs, they come with little paper strips to insert. So these are how you say not corrugated, what's the word? They're perforated. That's the I'm sorry. They're perforated so that you could bend it. They're perforated so you could bend the paper and it will break at this spot and this spot and this spot, and you can get it off very easily. So you're going to fold it in half because that makes it stronger. It makes it easier to insert if you have it double like that. You fold it in half. You write what you want to write, the name of the child, fold it in half. And then I'm going to show you how to insert. Now, if you tried it, it has like a little, like a round part here to try to make it easy for you to get it in. But if you put it in this way, man, it ain't going to go in. I know from experience. So we've got it orientated with the top away from the yellow divider, right? No, do it this way, top toward the yellow divider. Put the corner in this little round opening, and it's going to slide right in. Yeah, that's the easy way. And I like to set this up in the beginning of the school year so that I have all my tabs, have them cut out, and I have them ready to write the kid's name on it. Because when the kids come in on the first day of school, I've got to write 12 names in one day. So I don't want to be like breaking the perforations and folding and all that. I just want it ready. So this is how I leave them. I leave them half in so I can get it out easy, write what I want to write and put it back in. And I do that to all the tabs before the first day of school. So that it kind of, I don't know if it could see how it is on here. It's hard to see, but they're sticking out on all of them. So you can stack them, and you can see on this picture how it goes. The tabs go from the top to the bottom, and then they start again on the top to the bottom in this row, and then they start again top to bottom on this row. And you can really see all of them at once, which is really pretty awesome.
Mpaka maji moja.
Then we've got page protectors. Page protectors are great if you know you're going to be flipping through a million times, because these little holes in the paper, they tend to rip easily over here. And I'm going to have to mute you for a second. Okay, that was good. Okay. So these holes tend to rip easily. So if you put it in a page protector, because you know you're going to be flipping through a lot and it might rip, you put it through a page protector. The page protector has the hole in the middle of the plastic, which is much stronger than paper. Now, this page protector opens by the rings, and you slide the paper in that way. And this one opens at the top. Either one is good. They're both great, wonderful sort of thing. And they protect from spills, they protect from fingerprints, crumpling, all sorts of things. And the plastic hole, the holes in the plastic are very, very strong. So to get it in, you're going to curve it slightly, curve the paper, bow it like that, bow it, and then put one corner in and then the other corner, and you should be able to slide it in. Okay. We're almost done. Here is yet another presentation of papers. And this one is for your forms. Now, I have a whole lot of forms in the Department of Education. Holy cow, do I have forms? We have like probably 80 forms, but we use about 10 of them, like a lot. On the first day of school, we have allergy forms, asthma forms, diabetes forms, general medication forms for like ADHD. Then we have seizure forms, treatment forms, letters, incident reports for the school, stuff like that. So I have these folders, which are basically just a piece of cardstock folded in half with a tab sticking out. And I put my forms in there. I write allergy, asthma on it, and then I alphabetize them. And then I put them in this rack. And this rack, they sell them straight across, but this one is at an angle, like a hill going up toward the back. And I love this rack. This is my favorite rack. The one that goes straight across is not my favorite rack because I can't see the tabs all at once on that one. So if you can get this one, it's the best one. And all the tabs, show you back again, will show readily instead of hiding one behind the other. So this is the best. See the angle here? Wonderful. And it has like just rungs where you put the files between them. Yay, love that. Here's some office supplies you'll probably need. Stapler with extra staples, tape for if you want to put on a tab or a note. Whiteout, that's great if you make a mistake. This is a bottle of white paint, and then the cap has a brush attached to it, a little brush that goes down into the bottle. And when you make a mistake, you just paint white paint over the word, and you can write a new word on top of it. Yay! All right, and then here's a little mini stapler. Man, that works just as good as the big stapler. Don't knock it. It's a good one. And then you've got a staple puller in case you make a mistake and accidentally put in a staple or you have to make a photocopy and you have to take out the staple. This takes out the staple. There's another kind, which I don't have at home, but it looks kind of like a handle with a little metal tab at the end. You get it underneath the staple prong and you pull it up. That's another one. And then you want paper clips. I love paper clips, but they do get caught on things. So sometimes a staple is better, you know? And here is one more kind of whiteout. It's by Bic. This one has a tape wound up in the middle, and the ribbon runs around this tip, and then you just slide the tip over the word you don't want anymore, and it puts a piece of white tape over the word, and then you can write over it because it's matte. It's nice and easy to write over. Wonderful. Nice if you have cubbies on your desk. Every office worker wants cubbies on their desk so they can put papers. So, oh, let me move this so you can see. Hang on. All right. So here I have a form called a 12S. See, I have labeled it with my label maker. 12S. This form is when they need to go to the doctor. Then I've got my SH10 forms. That's when they just have a regular nurse visit for something probably stupid, like I bumped my elbow. Yeah, that they get an SH10. That's right. And here I keep my envelopes, and these are like metal flaps that stick up, and you can stand up your papers between them. I got about 4 of them here. And then that's vertical, and then I got horizontal cubbies. Here's where I keep my medical alert list, my class roster, and my trusty timesheet. Yeah, so I can get paid. Don't want to lose that amidst papers. So I keep it in my lower cubby and I have that labeled as well. My upper cubby is for stuff I don't know what to do with. I just put it in the upper cubby. And then I've got post-it notes. These have airplane glue on them. Yeah, I call it airplane glue because they were trying to make a paint for airplanes and they mixed up all this stuff. They wanted to do something with airplanes. Anyway, they mixed up this formula of stuff that they thought would be good for airplanes, and it ended up it wasn't good for airplanes at all, but it was excellent for post-it notes. So you can take off the top and it has this glue on it. You could stick it to the wall and leave a note for your friend, and then you can pull it right off the wall and it doesn't leave anything on the wall. And then if you want to put it back on the wall, you could even put it back on the wall. It's great. It'll always stick no matter what you do. Yeah, they wear out after a long time, but yeah, it's pretty good stuff. So I have post-it notes. I put the pink one on the parent letter that says sign here. I say sign, please put your contact information because the form is not valid unless they sign it. So they get a hot pink note. Yeah, a hot pink note. So they just can't forget, they can't ignore the hot pink note. And it's wonderful. And then I've got a cup. You could use any cup, a mug, whatever, and put your pencils, rulers, and scissor in there. And this is my favorite setup for my office. Cubbies and post-its and pencil jars and stuff. And I want to say one thing about laptops. Laptops do have a lifespan. So if you do your cover sheet in your laptop, well, your battery could die one day. And then you need to know the parent's contact information. Yeah, what do? You can't do anything. So let me tell you, I trust paper. Barring fire, flood, or high wind. Paper is the best thing since sliced bread. Don't knock it. If you have a laptop, that's great. That's great. But don't depend on it. Depend on it for things like grades, stuff like that. But don't depend on it for parents' contact information, because when that kid is throwing up all over the place, you better know where the parent is. You better be able to call them to come get that kid. Otherwise, you'll be cleaning that up all day. All right. Laptops, you can do your records electronically, but it's good to have paper records too. Okay. As a nurse, I want to access certain information rapidly. So, child's class, what are they allergic to? What is mom's name and number? All these things should go on a contact card. Actually, I put the intake. Okay, let's do the intake. So you need a contact card and you need an intake form. An intake form is an interview you do with that person dropping off that child. And if you have an orphanage and someone drops off a child for the first time, you may never see them again. So they may have been a, good Samaritan bystander that found this child. So you want to like ask them as many questions as you can and get everything they know on an intake form before they leave and you never see them again, okay? So you're going to get like their name, their number, that person, whoever they are. If they'll give you their number, give it, take it. All right. Upon admission, you want to know, does the child have health conditions, mental health conditions, behavior problems? One of those behavior problems that you need to know, is this child a runner? Oh my goodness. If they're a runner, you're going to be running after them across town. Oh boy, you better know if they're a runner because you're going to bar them from leaving the classroom. You're going to need to bar them from leaving the classroom. You're going to need to tell them, no, you can't leave, because otherwise that kid is going to be jumping in the river before you know it. They're going to be getting themselves into danger. So are they a runner? Big question. You got to know. Do they have a special diet, like a health condition? Maybe they can't drink milk. Maybe they throw up if they drink milk. You want to know that. Did they get their vaccinations? What vaccinations did they get? Can they see and hear well? Any recurring problems like nosebleeds, constipation, or vomiting? Good to know. Contact info card, very helpful. Have them put 3 people. They don't have to fill it in. If they don't have 3 people, they don't have 3 people. But you give them a line for 3 people, alternate emergency contacts. 3 people beside the parent that can be called in an emergency. Kid gets hurt. Parent can't be reached. What do? You need to call other people in an emergency. So you can make a book of these contact cards. They have special, you could use the 3-ring binder, or they have special books that are half size, and you cut the page in half. They have books like that. All right, we make our contact cards blue so we could find them easily. Cardstock, blue cardstock, wonderful. If you can't afford it, can't get it, whatever, use white paper. But have a contact info card. Use it to refer in case someone picks up a child. Who are you giving this kid to? Is that the right person or are they a kidnapper? You don't know. So ask for identification, refer to the contact card. If their name is on the card, you just gave them to the aunt or you just gave them to the grandmother. They must have their name on the card to pick up the child. You tell them that in the beginning of the year, write these people's names. If there's no phone number, there's no phone number, whatever. At least you've got their name on the card and you know they're a safe person, okay? And then we're almost done covering staff folder in case your secretary is absent and you are lucky enough to find somebody who's willing to fill in as secretary for the day. Could be a friend, could be a relative. They don't know anything. They come in with a blank slate. Therefore, your staff folder, your covering staff folder is going to tell them everything they need to know to run that office. The book contains location of keys, phone numbers of important staff people, a schedule of classes and breaks, a list of teachers and room numbers. That's if you have a school with 6 rooms, you need that. Emergency instructions, what to do in case of fire, whatever. Hours of operation, location of parent contact information book, which drawer is it in, may not, it may be a no-brainer. You may only have one drawer. You may keep it on a shelf. I don't know, but they have to know where that book is at any cost. And location of medical alert list. Very important things. And I think this is the last slide. Keys can be color-coded so it is easy to open up locks. So you take a piece of blue paper, you tape it on the key and you write on it, medicine cabinet, whatever you're writing, medicine, office door, whatever, classroom key, classroom A key, classroom B key, whatever you're writing on it, put a piece of tape over it because the tape is going to keep the other keys from rubbing lead onto what you wrote. And then, almost done. And then, once you put that blue piece of paper labeling that key, put a little blue square on the lock, next to the lock, so that they know the blue key goes with the blue lock. Ain't that brilliant? This is great if you have a lot of locks. It really helps. And since keys have lead in them, don't let babies, if you have any toddlers, don't let babies lick that. That is poisonous. Keys have lead in them. Makes it easier for the key cutter to cut the keys. And it also makes it easy for the keys to rub off on each other's labels. So put tape over the label, plastic tape. And you can also put on your lock, if you have a tricky lock, you can reveal the secret as to how to unlock that lock. For instance, you have a lock where the teeth can go up or the teeth can go down, but it only unlocks one way. So you could write a little note next to your blue paper that says, teeth up, turn left. Boy, isn't that a joy to know. And if it's tricky, turn right, wiggle key hard. Yeah, these are really, really helpful things. Always have 2 sets of keys. Keep them in 2 different places. One of them you might keep home in case the other one gets lost, or one of them you might keep around your neck or in your pocket, and the other one in the office. Way to administer a classroom. All right. So that is it. I finished. I hope you liked that presentation. Now, future presentations are not going to have great slides with visuals like this as much. We'll see, but I'm going to be teaching other things too, like how to handle an irate parent and how to how to know how to hire people maybe, or how to handle teaching a difficult learner, things like that. So those are things that we are going to cover, and we may not have, but in the future we may just be like talking or whatever. But thank you so much for joining. That's it for today, and I'll have a quick prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing people here today, and I hope that this was a benefit to many, and I pray that your will be done in case someone wants to open an orphanage or a school or administer their orphanage or school. We ask these things in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.